Now we're recording. Welcome to the Dating While Adulting podcast. Thank you all for coming back. This is a good episode because we caught Reggie in a bad mood. And as we all know, Reggie in a bad mood entertains me. So even though, like usual, when Reggie's in a bad mood, we won't get into the details as to why he's in a bad mood. Hey, it always comes out one way or another. It's like when somebody goes to the bathroom after eating a bad meal, you might not necessarily know what they ate, but you know it was bad when it comes out the other end. Anyway, thanks for coming back. Yes, Reggie. Say hi, Reggie.
Hi, Reggie. I had to say one thing, and trust me, I'm putting this just in respect. Cicely Tyson just died. Well, it depends on when you get this podcast out.
Yeah.
And for 96, she looks freaking amazing.
I just have to say, once she did, and she's famously, at least to me, known for being married to Miles Davis.
Yes, that motherfucker was crazy shit.
Right, right. So forget the acting and all of that stuff. When I think Cicely Tyson, I think Miles Davis.
And she deal with him.
As someone who was a huge fan of Miles Davis and was in love with his autobiography, is my favorite book that I've ever read. And
Really?
I am just it. We had the episodes on confidence. We had the Ask a Woman thing, and it was about confidence. And then we had that episode that was up about confidence. And the one thing about it is Miles Davis, women talk about him today pretty much universally as not being the most attractive man in the world.
This is true.
You could not tell Miles
No,
Davis
David
that.
is that.
Miles Davis on every other page of that book would tell you how pretty he was, how sharp he was, how good looking he was. And there was not a room that he was in that he felt like he didn't belong in. And there was not a woman alive that he did not feel like he belonged in, if you know what I mean.
As Prince said, don't hate me because I'm beautiful, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know we're talking about Cicely Tyson and we shouting out Miles Davis, but shout out to Cicely Tyson, because Cicely Tyson was one of the women that actually was able to tame him, at least for a while. But
for a while.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I saw a recent picture. I don't know how recent, but she was in her 80s because she died at 96. And bravo.
Yeah, and I will say, I think honestly, she was a beautiful woman. It's like
she was
her skin is
she
just something.
like yes,
right. And in this era of colorism and all of that stuff, that was a beautiful woman. Yeah,
that was a beautiful woman.
Regardless of what your tastes are, you can give credit where credit's due. So shout out to Cicely Tyson. God help me if I'm alive at 96 years old. God, please don't let me live to 96 years old. Now, with that said, I don't want to have a long, drawn out death, but man, if you catch me at 96, I'm gonna be miserable, especially if I'm doing this podcast, unless I'm getting paid handsomely for it. But that's a whole nother story.
Oh, dude, if I'm 96, I'm still jumping on airplanes.
Okay.
But you know me. But like I said, you know me, so you know I'm gonna still do that crazy shit.
All right, Jack LaLanne, don't break a hip.
Hey man, fuck it. They said the new hips are better than the ones we got now, so fuck all that. Yeah, we get that shit.
There is, and I'm sorry for getting off, but there's I don't know if it's still around, but have you ever heard of the Bodies exhibit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Did you a long time ago? No, of course not. That shit kind of creeped me out.
It is creepy, but one of the things that they had in the exhibit was they actually had like an artificial hip, so you could actually see like how it's like bolted into your pelvis and stuff. There's some fascinating stuff.
The reason I bring that up, outside of the fact that you sit there and say break your hip, is I met a fellow. He was a triathlete, and long story short, he stepped in on Lego, fucked the shit up. He did his try, and because he was overcompensating, he fucked up his hip. So he actually got a artificial hip, and he was like, "Shit, I should have got this shit 20 years ago." He was, he's in his 40s, so he said 10 years ago. It was like, I said, "Dude, really?" He said, he said, "You don't know. You just don't know." And going to, because I always got to make a Prince reference. This is the issues that, you go to Morris Day. Morris has a artificial hip. And
I did not know that.
Yeah, he did. And he was trying to get Prince to get one. And Prince kept denying that.
I thought Prince got his done. I
No,
thought he got
Prince.
both of them done. I thought
No, no, Prince never got it,
because I
and
thought
that
that was the deal. He got them done, and then he got dependent on the painkillers, or was it the painkillers because he needed them done?
he got on the painkillers because he needed it done, and he never did it. Morris
Oh,
was trying to persuade him to get him.
oh, yeah. Okay. Well, you see how that worked out.
Yeah,
One's alive, one's dead.
fucked up my whole life, but it's okay.
Hmm. Yeah, because not as much as it effed up his, but that's
That's true. Well, that's a whole different thing. Reincarnation. He come back as a do what he does.
oh, I don't know what Jehovah Witnesses believe in terms of reincarnation, but yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
not a Jehovah's Witness. I don't care. Anyway, go ahead.
you the one said talk about reincarnation. I'm like,
That,
shoot.
that's Hindu. That's not Jehovah Witness.
Well,
Jehovah,
shoot.
Jehovah Witness are Christian.
I didn't think Hindus were the only ones that believe that, though. I don't think they are.
Well, yeah. This conversation went all sideways. How long have we been in this crap?
I dated a woman that believed in reincarnation. It was interesting.
Mm.
Um, anyway,
Was she cute enough to reincarnate?
well, if I was dating her, she had to be cute to me at least.
Hubba hubba.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, as if everybody knows, this is gonna be one of those episodes. This is going to be one of these podcasts. So
actually, no, we're about to get on topic, but shoot. Yeah, I hope she was attractive because going back to that confidence podcast when you were talking about clowning people if they women aren't attractive, shoot, I hope she looked good. But um it's
I like
interesting.
sexy women. Mm.
Okay. Um duly noted. Last I checked, most men do.
Nah, yeah, they just like women they want to have s with. Well, yeah, sex. Yeah, I like sexy women. But anyway, keep me on topic, man. Come on, that's your job. You got one
Yeah,
job.
it's interesting. Jeezy, are you familiar with Jeezy, formerly known as Young Jeezy? One of my
Yes.
favorite rappers, actually.
What?
Yeah.
Really? I did not expect him to be okay.
Nah,
We'll talk about that offline.
yeah, let's clarify. Not saying that he's the best rapper. I mean, in
No,
terms of
no, but the fact that he's
musical
your
output,
favorite. No,
one
the
of,
fact.
one
Okay.
of. He
Yeah.
consistently puts out music that I like.
Okay. Like I said, I'm kind of surprised on that.
Yeah. He is engaged to Jeannie Mai, and I think we might have mentioned Jeannie Mai
Oh yeah,
before
we did because that's a
in one
sexy
of these
heifer.
ones. Okay.
Can I say heifer on podcast?
It's funny how you always ask if you can say these things after you say them.
Of course, I'm
As
a Leo. That's what I do.
ever since we had that podcast episode, we talked about, and we didn't go into the details of these astrological signs, but it's like ever since we even touched on that, Reggie mentions he's a Leo at like every turn.
Pretty much.
But the reason I'm bringing that up, and this is going to lead to our topic in some roundabout way, is that she had some kind of serious ailment. She was on Dancing with the Stars, and then she had to leave because she had gotten sick. And one of the things that happened during the course of that sickness was that she couldn't speak for 3 weeks.
Oh wow.
And she was on Ellen not too long ago, and she told Ellen that um, Jeezy told her that the 3 weeks that she couldn't speak were like some of the best 3 weeks of their relationship.
He said that out loud, really?
And he talked about how the flowers grew, flourish more, all because she couldn't speak. Now, the thing is, this makes this funny, but not in a ha type of way, is that everybody got to laugh at that. But in humor, there is some truth
Truth to
to
that.
things. Now, not speaking specifically about Jeannie Mai,
Just
because
women.
I don't know her, but we can
She's
broaden
sexy.
this out to women in general. And what was interesting to me was the fact that somebody criticizes you for something and you just laugh it off dismissively. If maybe it's just me and the way that I think and process things. If somebody I was engaged to, if I couldn't speak and somebody said, those 3 weeks when you wasn't talking, boy, those were the best 3 weeks of our relationship.
1, 2, 3. Let's get ready to rumble.
Well, I think it would at least deserve a conversation. Like, okay, are you joking? Are you really joking? Do we need to have a conversation
We
about
need a
this?
conversation. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Because if I talk too much, I remember a woman once told me, and people listen to the podcast, they might be able to relate, especially if you know me personally. Um, she said that I talk too much. She said that sometimes when she would ask me a yes or no question, I would not give the yes or no question without giving an explanation first. And I paid attention to that, and I did find that I was doing that. But with that said, the yes or no questions, I kind of knew where things would lead by just answering yes or no. For example, a woman asked me,
Okay.
yeah, a woman, yeah, I figured an example would be more appropriate. An example was yes or no, could you see yourself living separately from your wife? So yeah, Reggie's laughing because he remembers his story. And the answer was yes, but just saying yes, and it wound up going down this road anyway. She felt like that was some kind of wedge in our relationship and would prevent us from going further, because she thought that my saying yes meant that I wanted to live separately from my wife, which wasn't true. But if you ask me if I could see myself with living someplace else, the answer is yes. It is
I mean,
what it is.
my thing is this, and every once in a while, me and Michael have this dust up where, because Michael understand, I need context. Because I need, and what Michael is explaining right now is the fact that he anticipated the fact that he's, yeah, well, you're supposed to say yes or no. Okay, yes.
Yeah. If I'm
And so he knew the follow-up question.
yeah. If I'm talking to someone and they ask me a yes or no question and I can answer it knowing that they're the type of person that would like supply the follow-up, the
Mm-hmm.
unemotional follow-up that would
Mm-hmm.
get more information out of me, then I would answer yes or no. But with that
But
said, if you ask me the yes or no, and based on that yes or no, you're going to get emotional and I'm going to have to
um,
wind up explaining myself anyway, then I
get out
may
the
as
way.
well start
Let's get it out the way.
with that. So, needless to say, that relationship was doomed to hell. But going back to what is going to be our topic for today, is because we talked about Jeezy and Jeannie and her not talking for two
That's
weeks.
sexy ass.
Yeah, she's attractive. And it made me started thinking about talking and texting in general and dating. So, Reggie, I know the answer to this, yes or no. But
Mm. Ask me yes or no, Michael. Let's see what I do.
I know. Are you a talker or you a texter? I guess it's not a yes or no, but which are you?
I'm a talker. If
Yeah.
if anybody ever watching these YouTubes, you realize, yes, I can. Yeah, I like to hear my own voice, even though listen to the YouTube back. I mean, the videos and the podcast. I hate my voice, but I do like talking.
Yeah. And like he said, you can also find that out from the podcast, which is way more popular than the YouTubes. But with that said, the point is he's more of a talker than a texter. And I knew that answer because Reggie has a tendency to call. He does the thing that I hate that most people do. I will text him and he will respond by calling me. He won't text me back. He'll just call me. Obviously, if I'm texting you instead of calling you, then that means that I'm either too busy to talk, I just don't feel like talking, or something else. But he'll call. And it's not a knock his hustle because most people in our age range, they are more apt to call than to text. Texting seems to be a young person's type of thing.
Besides the fact that I don't sit there and want to write an unabridged dictionary of what the freak I'm actually trying to get out my, because as we both know, you listen to these podcasts, I have a tendency to ramble until I get to the point. That's my NETP personality type. I have all these things and then I narrow down. And it's like, okay, but dude, that's 800 texts. Then you gonna start to block me if I had to do that shit to you.
Right. But usually, if I'm asking you a question, if I'm texting you something, it doesn't require a book answer, usually. So, yeah, that's the thing.
Hmm.
But like I said, young people, they're into texting. And while I am not a young person, I am one of those people that are into texting. And how this applies to dating is that it's difficult for me it's difficult for me having conversations because people that know me in real life, they know that I'm not a talker. I don't have phone conversations on a regular basis. But when you meet someone and you're dating them, they expect you to have phone conversations on a regular basis. And especially in this era of COVID, where you can't necessarily get out in the ways that you would like to. And women think that if you invite them over to your house, you're going to chop them up into pieces. It requires more phone conversation. At least they think that it does. And The problem, because obviously you have to have phone conversation in the beginning. It just makes sense because you don't know anything about that person. You need to talk to them, find out what they're about, what they like, what they dislike. And I don't believe in writing books and text. So it's easy to have those conversations. But once you find out those things, the the problem is, okay, what's the next level? The thing is, women don't understand, at least women that I talk to, they don't understand that these conversations initially are get to know you conversations, and then we can transition to face and we can transition to texting.
How long
Yeah.
does it really take you to get to that point, though?
Well, that's the other part of it. If I am feeling you, I don't have 15-minute conversations. I've had first conversations that have lasted for hours,
Okay.
and then the follow-ups have lasted for hours. So I have dated women and I've had like 3 conversations that totaled 9 hours in conversation. And so you get a pretty good handle on what the person is about. The problem is they expect that um, on a regular basis. So when you try to not wind down, but when you try to
Be yourself. We have a podcast about that.
well, that's the thing though. All of that is me. It is a part of me that wants to talk to get to know you in the beginning. But then the other part of me says that at my core, I'm a texter. And it's like, okay, what information do you want to convey to me? And then if you convey that information, okay, cool. Then we can plan to finish it out face to face or whatever. Um, and another thing about me in listening, I mean, another thing about me and talking, and Reggie laughs when I say this, but part of my thing and the reason I don't like to talk is because, unlike a lot of people, I would say the vast majority of people, I'm an active listener.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is that when I've never, even when I was in high school, I wasn't the dude that would sit on the phone with my girlfriend and we just fall asleep on the phone by our ears and stuff like that. I was never that person. If you're talking to me, then I am engaged in what you're saying. So, because I have to mentally prepare myself to actively listen to what you're going to say during these conversations, it's not something to me that I just take on a whim. And it's funny because I'll have women that call me and they'll be yawning like 5 minutes in the conversation. And I'll be thinking,
Then
why'd
why
you call me in the
call
first
me in first
place?
place?
Yeah, it's like you obviously aren't like prepared to listen to anything that I say. I've had conversations with women, and then the very next day we'll talk, and they won't remember anything that I said. It's like we're having the same conversation over again, kind of like I'm talking to like a 90-year-old person that forgets their name. I've also, and this makes it even weirder, I've had conversations with women where um I would bring something up later in a conversation, and they'll be like, "How'd you know that?" Because you told me in another conversation. So they won't even remember some things that they told me. So it's like with that said, I am active in my listening. I am not the person that just likes to have casual conversation and we don't hear each other. And that's another part about it. I hate to waste my words. So if I'm talking and then I have to repeat myself 8 times in the next 8 conversations because you didn't quote unquote hear what I said or you didn't remember, and then they say, "Oh, oh, I'm supposed to remember everything you said."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 So, so it's like, otherwise, what is the point of my saying it? What is the point of us having a conversation? I got in a real big argument with a woman about that when
Actually,
she
I want to stick around on one thing
so
that you said. I want you to define casual conversations and what's your disdain for casual conversations, because you perked my ears up even though I was listening to you. And I have levels of listening. Um mm, Casual conversation, just bullshit conversation. Hey Michael, how you doing? How was your day? How do you feel about those? I'm actually let me rephrase because I'm defining it for you. Therefore, let me shut the F up. And casual conversations, what are those to you?
I don't really know what casual conversation is. Casual conversation is something that can be done through text. Casual conversation is
Okay.
good morning, how's your day? If we are talking with a purpose, not to be confused with dating with a purpose,
Mm.
but we are talking with a purpose. It's like if I'm calling you, um, now when we first start dating, if we, here's how it works. When we first start dating, I'm calling you to get to know you. Then once I feel like I've gotten to know you, I'm calling you because you expect me to call as I roll my eyes. And then after that, the conversation should be like, yo, what's up with you? What are we doing this weekend? Hey, you want to hang out? And then anything else can be face to face. If I have something serious to tell you, and part of my frustration is throughout my life, my 50 years on this earth, not 50 because I couldn't talk for 50, but when I start communicating with not just
Actually, no, 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 your punk ass. Yeah, you probably were talking between you
yeah,
and your
could have
mom.
been, could have
Yeah,
been.
you was. Yeah.
But it's funny because over the years, one of the things that I found that most people aren't active listeners, like I said, most people don't listen to me when I talk. Reggie doesn't listen to me when I talk.
Actually, I do. That's why I always interrupt you because I need clarity.
No, you listen to me when we talk on these podcast episodes. There have been times throwing your business out in the street. There have been times when bad things have happened to me. And I have mentioned them to Reggie, and Reggie would come back like a week later. I'd be like, Reggie, we just talked about this. This is the reason I'm not feeling whatever, whatever. And Reggie will say, oh, I didn't know that you were feeling that way though.
No, no, that's no, no, that, no, 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 no. That's it's different between me listening to you, understanding, and actually the emotional connection with you because of the fact that, unfortunately, you're my boy. Therefore, I don't always attach the emotional shit with you sometimes that I should be attaching to you that I may do with other people because like, oh hell, you my boy. He just tell me point blank. So I have a tendency, I'm going to throw myself under the bus here, to be more insensitive to you and your emotions because I'm a bastard like that.
Well, I think
So,
that's
but it's not like I don't listen to you.
and I think that speaks to the point. I think people distinguish between listening and hearing, like, and I don't really distinguish between the two. To me, when I talk about listening and actively listening, it's not just listening to the words that comes out of somebody's mouth. It's about the emotions that they convey it with.
But I don't see you as having emotions. So therefore, yeah.
Um, in the times that I'm thinking of, they were clearly emotional times, but that's not the point.
You are a robot. You are a Virgo. You have no emotions. It's all logical. Go spot. Hold up.
Now there's a good majority of that that's true,
I'm just
but
saying.
we'll have that fight later. You all don't need to let's have that fight. The point wasn't to like
Exactly.
yeah, the point wasn't to like talk about that, but it was to talk about how people don't listen in general, and
True.
it's like people don't really understand it because they just accept it as a way, unless of course they feel or perceive that you don't listen to them.
Amen.
And
Bravo. Bravo.
yeah,
Preach, brother.
then it's a big deal.
There's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And so that's part of my problem. I actively listen, and to actively listen so you can hear not just the words, but also the emotion that are coming from the words. That takes more than just, okay, let me answer the phone while I'm cooking or
Yes.
I cannot tell
And
you.
actually, hold on. Let me go back because that's a great point. That's why I asked you about the whole casual conversation
Yeah.
because, you know,
Yeah, and that's the answer. I don't have those. It's like if it's a casual conversation, it should be as short as possible. You good? Yeah, I'm good. Okay, cool. To
how
me,
was your day? Out. Peace.
well, and that's the other part of it. When you ask a woman, and sorry, women,
Oh,
when
go,
you
go,
ask a woman how her day was, that might be a casual question, but not necessarily a casual conversation because their response won't be casual because way too many times they will tell you everything about their day from the moment they woke up to the moment they got out of the gosh darn office and got in a car and then drove home. So it's interesting because I was talking to Nicole, one of our Ask a Women, Ask a Women,
I about to say ask women,
yeah,
ask a woman.
one of our women that we ask questions to, and she was saying, and I've heard other women say that men are starting to talk as much as women, but I don't know if I necessarily believe that because it's always seems to be the women complaining about men texting too much. And
Oh, you need to explain this because I'm out the loop on this one.
yeah, and yeah, and I wish it was something that Nick could expound on, but she's not here, obviously. But yeah, Nicole and other women that I've spoken to have said that, because when I say, man, women talk too much, they say, man, you should talk to some of these dudes. And our other woman that we asked questions to, Pamela, she also says
Pamela.
she also says the same thing. It's like, boy, you should hear how some of these men talk. These men talk like women. Now, I'm sure there are men like that, but I think for the most part, women still talk more than men. And the reason that I say that is because women are complaining about men texting too much. So if men were talking as much as women are saying, they wouldn't be complaining about them texting. Um, and it,
I'm trying to hold back.
well, it just is what it is.
No, Duke, I'm trying to hold back because, like I said,
It,
mm, go
it,
ahead,
and,
Michael.
and I think this leads to a bigger thing. And follow me on this, Reggie.
I'm trust me, you got me all
I,
locked in.
I think part of the reason that women like to talk so much about everything is because, and the reason that men don't talk more. And I think what it is that they may actually talk the same amount. I think guys spread out the words amongst other people because I think guys have an understanding. Follow me on this. Because I
Hmm.
think guys have an understanding that their woman isn't their everything. And I think
Oh,
I think women try to make men their
bravo.
everything. So it's like, I have a problem. I want to talk about something, if even if it's not a problem. Should I call my girlfriend? Should I call my aunt? Should I call them? No. I'll tell my man, even if he doesn't want to hear it. Me, myself, and I wouldn't say all men, I don't even know if it's most men, but I'd say men that I know and men that I talk to,
Fair assessment.
I will, if I am having a problem or something like that, and my woman is here, or even if I have just like a weird day, not even a problem, because a woman would want you to share the problems with them. But if it's something that's just weird, just happened, I might want to call Reggie for that. Um, or I might want to call somebody else for that. The point is, you really have to know your personnel and accept
Bravo,
that
bravo.
not everybody is meant for everything. And
Everything.
it seems like women try to make men everything when he's just not good at that, whatever that might be. If you broke a nail, your man might not be the one to talk to about that because he doesn't care, and he's not built to handle you breaking a nail.
If I had a problem, I had a situation that happened with a quote unquote associate of mine, and as we keep talking, I don't know if that may lure. If anyone has ever listened to these podcasts, and of course my friends know me, I'm loud. I'm loud. That's just who I am. If you don't like loud, if you don't like someone coming in to spread quote unquote sunshine, even if the, the clouds are gray, and you want sympathy and all that other bullshit, don't call me. I'm not that guy. But she keeps calling me, and then once I beat me, she's banging on me. Well, you should be more sensitive and more emotional, intelligent. Like, look here, chick. That's not who I am. I mean, I'm emotional intelligent, but my thing is, I don't want you to stay in that mood. That's my thing. Oh, baby, it's okay. Cry on my shoulder. No, fuck all that. I don't got time for that shit. I don't have time for that shit. I'm the one like, oh shit, your cat died. Okay, let's go do something right now so you can at least have a reprieve from the grief that you have, because you're gonna go back to the grief. But let me give you a sense of life ain't so fucking fucked up right now for at least 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. And then you go back to your misery that your cat died. I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
And to further illustrate that point, me and Reggie, we were in San Francisco once, And when we got to the airport, I got a call from my alarm company saying that someone attempted to break into my home. Now, this obviously bothered me. And I told Reggie about it. Reggie's response was, well, we're going to get drunk. And Reggie bought me drinks.
Because
So,
the bottom of this, that the part of the story is he's in San Francisco. Ain't a goddamn thing he can do back in Atlanta right now, unless you're gonna sit there and pay $1,000 for a one-way trip back to Atlanta.
and we all know that was not happening.
So
Yeah.
we have to accept what we have right now, and we're gonna have fun. We're in San Francisco. While we're in San Francisco, we're gonna deal with what we're gonna do in San Francisco. When you get back home, you would deal with it then.
Yeah. And I think that's the important thing. And we kind of got off talking versus texting, but for a minute. But it is interesting going back to knowing your personnel. Um, like there are people who are like using Reggie's example about the cat dying, the cat died. There are people who are built wired to say, okay, let's go bury the cat. You want me to bury the cat for you? And then there are people that will say, oh, I'm so sorry, you need a hug, I'll give you a hug. But to say that this person that you're dating should be both,
Is
that might
unrealistic.
be that might be unrealistic to ask. And
Is
it's like
unrealistic.
asking for your spouse, mate, lover, boyfriend, girlfriend to be everything. um is just not there, and you need to accept that you might need to go someplace else to get what you need. And bringing this back to talking versus texting, um, I cannot tell you, Reggie, how many conversations I've had with women while they've been in the car and they're having a conversation with me while they're cursing out people in traffic. They're at the grocery store and they're having open discussions with the person checking them out, which is something I just think is so disrespectful. Just you on your phone while you giving them money. I just think it's so disrespectful. But that's just
No
me.
comment.
That's just me.
No, not just you. No comment.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and it's just like, how much attention are you paying to this? And if I feel like I'm gonna have to repeat myself, what's the point? So I guess, Reggie, give me some advice.
I can't give you no advice because unfortunately, the reason why we went down this whole rabbit hole is I'm like you, where I'm I'm like you, but I'm not like you because I am a talker and I talk to actually try to figure out how you think because as my sign says, Leo, I portray to be an amateur therapist. So the more you talk, the more I realize how fucking batshit crazy you are. So I can adjust accordingly. But at the same time, when I realized that you just doing that casual talking shit, I pretty much put my phone down.
Well, well, I hadn't actually asked you what I was needing advice for, but
Oh, okay. You're right. You're true.
yeah,
True.
yeah, but what I need advice for is because, like I said in the beginning, I have conversation to get to know a person. Then I expect the conversation to eventually taper off. I do not want to have conversations with anyone every single day
See,
that
now
last.
hold up. Because this is why, I was focused on the casual conversation because I need you to really
Yeah,
clarify this.
right, right. Let me finish that thought. Not
Okay.
every single day, 4 hours.
Okay.
Um, it's like me and one of my female friends. We have the best phone relationship because she'll only call me when she wants to talk about something specifically, and when she's done talking, she'll say bye and hang up. And I can do that same thing to her. That is the best relationship. Now, she's a friend, not somebody I'm dating, obviously, but that's the best relationship I've ever had with a woman regarding phone conversation. And it's like when I talk about what I need advice for is I don't want to talk to anybody every day for hours. So it's like, but I do want the conversation to taper down. And I've been in way too many conversations where I feel like I have to have a conversation with them every day because that's what they expect.
The conversation on
And
what exactly? I mean, if they were sitting there talking about, okay, we're gonna talk about quantum physics and then metaphysical stuff and then how to do the electric slide. and the cha-cha slide combined, I mean some interesting shit. I don't mind talking about that. You talk about your goddamn day and how you cursed out the goddamn. Am I cursing too much? Because I'm getting a little excited. So I don't care about what you did. So I get you. Oh wow, that's bright.
Right. And then it's funny because I'm like, okay, I'm hearing that. I'm thinking to myself, I don't really care what you did. And
Exactly.
then after they're done 45 minutes later, they'll be like, well, how was your day? And I'll be like, it was cool.
Yep, pretty
And then
much.
it's like, you don't want to talk? I'm like,
Not,
I don't have
not
anything to
really.
talk about. And so, but they're going back to, oh, we used to talk for hours at a time. That's because we knew absolutely nothing
Nothing
about
about
each
each
other.
other.
And so I actively try to taper off those conversations, and they try to, it's like a tug of war. They're trying to keep those conversations going, even though we're not talking about anything. Um,
And there's the key. Talk about anything because it's the fact that, as I was bringing up, I don't only hear about the fact that you cursed out the Costco cashier because they didn't do bring up something right. If you sat there and said, "Yo, well, I was driving to work and there was this 50-pound car and this truck came across the thing and oh shoot, how did you maneuver? And I was right underneath it. I had to do this James Bond shit and blah blah blah. That's some good shit. I don't give a fuck about what you talk about the water cooler.
yeah.
I
Now,
don't care.
now, I will say this though, it's like in-person conversations, I'm all for those. It's like if I'm over at her crib, she's over at mine. We can sit and have a drink and talk for days or what, well, not days, that's ridiculous. But we can just talk for as long as possible. And when I was thinking about that, the thing that I came to was the reason that I'm more comfortable, and I think people in general are more comfortable, because when you're on the phone, you have to focus somewhat only on that conversation.
Yeah.
But if you're in person talking to each other, you have common things that can distract you, that can like direct the conversation. Like you have the TV on, do you see that? Or somebody walks by and it's like, oh, check them out, or something like that. There's always something to distract you that kind of like makes the conversation flow. And it's just being in somebody's presence, getting their energy, at least for me. It's just,
Okay, I'm glad you put that second part because the first one I was like, nah. When I'm in person, I'm very locked in. When I'm completely opposite. When I'm on the phone, that's why I feel like, oh well, you can't see me like sitting here reading this book while you're talking and halfway paying attention to you.
yeah, and I think that's the active listening part to me. It's like, yeah, and to your point, yeah, when you're in person, you do pay attention more. You're right in their face. And if you are doing something that shows that you're not paying attention, it's obvious.
Yes.
But on the phone, to me, it seems to take more of a focus to stay to focus. It takes more of a focus to pay attention and to stay in tune with the conversation. Whereas in person, it doesn't seem like that big a deal. But we're in COVID. And
Mm.
now in these days, you meet women that don't like to go out. They only want to go out if it's outside. They don't want to come to your house
Do they do the
because they think you're a serial killer.
do they do the FaceTime or Duo thing, or is it just straight like audio?
It's straight audio. I've only had FaceTime calls with women when um I just want to see what they look like. I've only had one, and then we go back to talking on the phone.
Because that's the thing about it. I realized a friend of mine who um we used to always talk on audio, and it was a complete different experience when we start talking FaceTime. It's not the same as talking face to face, but it it's a close facsimile
Yeah. Yeah, and you know me, I'm not really big on the duos and FaceTimes.
because you
Um,
don't like talking. So
okay, there's that.
you sit there and say smoke signals you
Okay,
could.
okay, so there's that. So I guess the question, what I need advice for is, how do I dial that back in a way that doesn't offend them? It's like,
You
it's like,
can't.
so I'm just down
Doom.
to talking for an
Yeah.
hour a day about nothing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because women and you know, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna probably say it in another podcast. And like I said, I am studying the Egyptian spiritual system along with some of the Taoism and understanding the masculine and feminine principles, uh, and all that other stuff and what that really means.
Boy, bless your heart.
Yeah, no, for real.
Okay. We have 5 minutes. Why?
Because I need to understand women.
And that's the direction you went to try to
And,
understand women?
and trust me, my dude, it opened my eyes like bing, light
Oh,
bulb. I was like, oh shit, that's how that is. But the Taoism a little bit more because
Reggie.
it has the masculine, feminine, and all that.
So Reggie, let me ask you this. So basically, based on your readings of Egyptian and Taoism and blah blah blah, now you won't argue with a woman anymore.
Oh no, cool. I know. I just like arguing with women.
Okay, so you won't get frustrated by women anymore.
I won't get as frustrated. And trust me, I haven't got to that Zen place that you'd like to get to yet, but I'm starting to get less frustrated because I actually started to understand their nature.
Okay, so we started this podcast with your being upset, and I'm not going to take a guess as to why you were upset, but I would imagine that it involved a woman. Am I right in that, at least?
Somewhat, yeah. But it wasn't necessarily, it was more about how people think and want to. I'm not the type of person who needs to put my hand in the fire and know that fire burns. But apparently, there's a lot of people out there, and it's cool if they want to see if fire burn and putting their hand in. But don't come crying back to me about that experience because I don't want to hear it. I told you don't put your hand in the damn fire.
But
So,
but if you have this nouveau understanding of women, why does that bother you?
like I said, I haven't got to that Zen balance point yet because unfortunately,
But
they still gonna do that stupid bullshit.
but you understand why they do it or
I
why
know,
they do it.
yes. Therefore, I understand now why they do it, so I won't be as resistant. So now my focus is now for me to get to that balance point to
I know
accept.
I know I'm going to regret asking this question.
You're gonna
But
regret it.
but we have 2.5 minutes. Why do they do it, Reginald? We have,
It's their nature. We'll talk about that on another podcast.
and you did not think that was their nature before.
No, because I actually thought that we were more equal as it's saying. As effed up that it is, women just see things differently. Not that they're not equal than us, but they're equal to us in different ways. And it was that difference that I did not connect. It's like, well, shit. If you don't curse your boss out, but you don't curse your boss out when you get mad, you should not come home and get mad at me and curse me out just because you feel like it. Like I said, we're equal as we're all human, but we're different. And it was that difference that I could not necessarily wrap my head around per se. And now that I'm understanding some of these ancient philosophies and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, that's what you mean. Okay, I got it.
Yep. I asked. You're welcome,
You at
America.
you at
Um, um, datingwhileadulting.com. Let me just say in closing in the last minute that we have, it's not that I'm so opposed to talking that I never want to talk. My whole thing is when we're talking, can there be a purpose to the conversation? Can you drive the conversation? Can you keep the conversation about things that I might be remotely interested in? And if you can, I think the question is there somebody better that you should be talking to? Now, that could be the person you're dating could be a decent person. So it's not to say because you can't talk to them about this, you shouldn't be with them. But it's like there's probably somebody who's actually interested in what you're saying more so than the person that you're dating. Why can't you talk to that person about that, whatever it is, and talk to your mate about things that you are mutually interested in? That's all I'm saying. Dating while
and
adulting.
and see, that's some Taoism philosophy, some Egyptian spiritual philosophy right there, because that was profound. Or is that
Datingwhileadulting.com. Reggie, say goodbye.
goodbye, Reggie?
Okay, we're clear.
And back to the after hours.
Well, yeah, because that's the whole thing. I just want to make the point because I don't want any woman listening to this to be like, oh, you don't even like to talk to a woman and all this and all. And no, I'm not trying to be combative. I'm trying to help you.
But then I can see, but see, it goes back to, even though you scoff at this, as I was going through and reading the ancient aspects of what the feminine aspect is and the masculine aspect is, which has nothing actually to do with gender, but it has to do with principles and functions, because we all have this. We have active, we have masculine and feminine, everyone.
Okay.
More men do portray the active, the masculine, excuse me, which is more active, more problem solving, and blah, blah, blah. But we do have the feminine where we do the receptive part where we want to also receive nourishment and security and stuff like that from women. That's why the fuck they're there. And vice versa. The women are more nature wise to be the receptive, the more nurturing, and blah, blah. But at the same time, does not necessarily negate the fact that when they need to be the masculine, the more active, the more problem solving, they can. What we got fucked up is the fact that we split this in half. Is that, oh, men are supposed to always be active, masculine, and women are supposed to be feminine, because that's what it is. Because men and women, masculine and feminine does not is not masculine and feminine is genderless. It's about the functions of what those activities are: order, structure, active, those things. That's masculine.
Okay, I agree with those. I agree with that actually. Um, yeah, I definitely agree with that. And the only thing I'll push back on a little bit is the whole idea of women being nurturers. I think women are nurturers to children more so than men.
Well, I'm just using
Definitely not in relationships.
true. And this is one of the issues that me and you have talked about before, in the fact that, we're gonna have an episode sooner or later of why men cheat. And in my, opinion, for the most part, most men
Well,
do this because of certain reasons. And we talk about that. I'm not gonna not the hustle, spoil the groceries right now with that. But yeah, that in my opinion, realistically, just looking out, men are more nurturing than women.
mm, I I I can't disagree with that. If we're talking about in a relationship, who's the more
Yes, yeah, yeah, in a relationship,
yeah.
and particularly when you have kids in,
Uh,
for the most part, on average,
I
not
think
niggas.
I don't think there's any question that women are more nurturing to children.
Yes,
When it comes to a relationship, see that's the whole thing. When you compare like who does more in the relationship, um, and if that equates to nurturing, I'll put it
actually,
like
hold up. We gotta go back. Let's go back. We need to now come to terms. What is nurturing? Because I remember we had this discussion on one of the podcasts where um, we going by quote unquote scripture and whatnot. The man's supposed to provide, the woman's supposed to nurture. Is that I think that's how that went. And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't understand what the difference is. And so I asked my wife what the difference is. And because in my opinion, it's the same thing as persuasion, manipulation, and what was the other one? Influencing. They're all the same function. The only thing that really changes is the intent.
I think of nurturing, and this isn't any scientific definition by any stretch, but I think of it as kind of like filling an emotional void or help trying to fill an emotional void. If you're running low on some type of emotion, um, I think nurturing someone is helping to feel that, giving fuel
The
in that
support,
particular area.
the emotional support, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But not just yeah, supporting someone.
But at the same time, hold up, not to cut your wisdom, but you're providing emotional support.
Well, when I think of support, I think of it kind of like picking somebody up and carrying them over a gulf. To me, that's support. To me, nurturing is more like instead of carrying them over the gulf, you're helping them fill in the gulf, if that makes any sense.
Yes and no.
It's
I,
like it's like if somebody passes in your life, um supporting someone is going to the funeral with them. Nurturing to me is the process of helping them get back to a place of stability. Like the people that show up at the funeral to support you, they're offering some emotional support to me. Nurturing, though, is before the funeral and after the funeral, they're there helping you actively. They're doing something.
but see, you just muddied the waters more for me, where my wife kind of cleared it, because what you sat there and said, when it comes to the financial aspect of providing, what's the difference? Because I don't see the difference.
Okay. It's like because it's like kind of like when my grandmother died and McGee was talking about she wanted to go to a concert. Um, she didn't wind up going to the funeral because it was
She's not listening, right?
if she is.
Okay, never
Um,
mind.
um, yeah, she didn't go to the funeral, but she offered and she would have gone. Let's say she would have gone. She did go, let's say. She would have gone, but you know, to me, that's being supportive of me in an emotional way because I would have appreciated her being there and all of that. But that's something that is going to apply for that time that we're there. Then I think a nurturing is more of a process that is beyond just supporting someone, which I think is like um, momentary bridge gapping as opposed to building a bridge.
Like I said, I agree with you and I disagree with you, because I think we're saying the same thing. Um, because when I say providing, it's not a temporary thing. You're provide when they want a man to provide financially, that's what they usually say. But at the same time, it's like it's a continuous thing over and over and over again. Um,
I don't think a nurturing is being a material thing
no,
though.
no, no, the
Physical.
nurture, but no, I'm just talking about the continuality of the fact that you are always there. For instance, you sit there and said the funeral thing. The funeral thing is a great aspect of it. Um, if when your grandmother died, me coming to you to go to the funeral as a show of support, in my mind, does nothing for you. However, comma, if it's one of those issues in the middle of the night that you are having an emotional crisis and you call me because you need to talk, and I listen to you talk, and it doesn't matter how many days or how many months, how many years, you always know, yo, I need to talk to you because I'm having an emotional crisis about my grandmother because she was my soul and this. That's nourishing emotional support. That's providing a, you know,
Yeah.
providing nurturing emotional stability versus me just showing up at a damn funeral because, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do.
And I see it as a little bit different. And I think the best way hearing you describe it like that is I kind of see nurturing as more of a collection of those things. All of those things, which to me are emotionally supportive, add up when in its totality to be nurturing.
Actually, no, I'm gonna call you. I'm about to call your card. I'm about to call your card.
Okay.
You were not there for my mother's funeral, but at the same time, you supported and you nurtured me throughout, and you still do.
I don't know what you mean. I
You
wasn't there
did
for,
not. You didn't come to my mom's funeral.
dude. Me and Gar were there. We went after the funeral. We went back to the house. Yeah.
Hold up. I
How
gotta
would
think.
we not be there? Come on, dude.
Hold up. No, 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 no. Oh no, 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 not the funeral.
Yeah, I was
Not the
like, we
funeral.
stayed there.
No,
We
no,
were
no,
all
no, no,
there.
no, no, not the funeral. Not the funeral. Not the funeral. It was before before she. It was before. It was before. It was before when she died. That was the part.
Yeah,
You were not there.
yeah,
No, no, I misspoke. I
yeah,
misspoke. But at the same time, it gives me the same thing because, like I said, I'm not giving you grief about the whole thing
mm-mm,
because, but it still gives me the whole. It gives me the whole premise of the fact that when my mom died, You were not there, but I did not hold you. But I called you, and there were some people who actually came down. But at the same time, it's like no, because Mike, but he's gonna be there for me. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of a touchy subject.
It is. I know. I think we need to get off this. Let's
Okay.
talk.
Okay.
Let's talk about Mission Impossible.
Okay. Yeah, because that'll get into a whole bucket of whatever.
Well, because my thing is, it goes back to this. I still going back to the original thing. There's maybe, in my opinion, and because of how my father and my mother interacted, because my father, as you know, is a very nurturing male.
Mm-hmm.
He has a lot of quote unquote feminine qualities,
Mm-hmm.
and he's very masculine, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So when we throw these words out like women's supposed to be nurturing and men's supposed to be providing, it clouds the water for me because as I grew up, my mother and father were both. So I expect both.
Yeah. I I don't understand any of it because when you talk about providing something, it's like I don't really get how that applies when we're talking about a dual income household.
No,
I don't really get.
don't get me talking about
Yeah,
See,
so it's just all weird. It's just all weird. But yeah, let's wrap that up. Ugh.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. We're done with this. Thanks for anybody that stayed. If you didn't, sucker. And we'll
Sucker.
yeah. And yeah, bye.
Bye.